Hi everybody, in this presentation I'm going to talk about the cultural differences I found in my experience living 18 years in Mexico, in Sinaloa, in the same city, Los Mochis, and 1 year in Quebec in Canada. But first of all, let me talk about some definitions here. So, culture, it refers to the values, beliefs, language, rituals, traditions, and other behaviors that are passed from generations to others. And self-awareness is the process by which individuals recognize and reflect on their own emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. And it involves understanding oneself as a distinct entity from the society. Now I'm going to talk about my personal experience, and I'm going to answer these questions, but in different slides, okay? So the first question is, how have your cultural identities shaped your understanding of yourself in relation to others? Well, first of all, in Mexico, relationships are deeply personal. They are warm and they are, well, trustful, I guess. They might be slow at first with the trust, but after we are very friendly. And in Quebec, since the moment I arrived, I encountered individualistic behaviors in a very reserved society. And at first, it was difficult because at the beginning, I used to not have any roommates. And well, it was not so fun at all. Not everybody was talking to everybody. And I also, in Quebec, they speak French, and I was going to learn French. But if you talked French, not in like a professional way, or not just professional way, but like, you know, fluent way, um, they just wouldn't really pay that much attention. So I really think that was really hurtful at the beginning. But over time, I learned how they behave, what their boundaries are, and also the punctuality is very strict there. Not like here, or at least it should be here, but it's not really. And also, like, they're very direct with their communication. So in my Mexican identity has taught me about empathy and emotional intuition, but my Canadian experience has taught me independence and assertiveness. So together, they help me understand that cultural identity is not fixed, but it's relational. So now I adapt and I listen and I know how to connect the worlds. Hi, so I'm going to talk about cultural dimensions between Sinaloa, Mexico, and Quebec, Canada. So first of all, the power distance. I found that in Mexico, in Sinaloa, respect is top one, okay? Like, we respect a lot our elders or people with more power than us. And in Quebec, it's not like that. In Quebec, it's just egalitarian. Like, everybody is the same, no matter the gender, the age, the power. Also, individualistic versus collectivism. Um, Sinaloa is very collectivistic. A family comes first, and we always try to team up with everybody. And in Quebec, it's not like that. In Quebec, it's personal growth and personal goals, and they're very individualistic with that. And uncertainty avoidance. Well, here we prefer structure and we like to follow the rules. And in Quebec, it's not like that. In Quebec, they're open to change and they don't care if it works out or not. Masculinity versus femininity. Here in Sinaloa, well, in Sinaloa, it's very achievement focused, and in Quebec, is the priority is the quality of life instead of the quality of the achievements, you know. And long-term orientation here in Sinaloa, it's very short-term. Our traditions matter, and in Quebec, it's not like that. They plan more things and sustainability. So practically everything is different. How has cultural intelligence played a role in my ability to navigate cross-cultural situations and develop self-awareness? Well, cultural intelligence was very essential for me when I moved to Quebec. I had to decode the implicit little actions that Quebecois did, like when to maintain silence, like in public places. It's not common to hear people talk, or if it's people talking, it's mostly because it's necessary, not like here in Mexico. And also when a maybe meant a no, like here, probably most of the maybes I've heard are a yes. I also learned to observe before reacting and to question before assuming the things I thought. This also made me realize that being culturally aware is not just about knowing the facts, but about being humble and curious and have a will to change. So instead of like asking and reflecting, why do I feel so weird here? Instead, is it cultural or is it personal? Most of the times it's cultural. So, how have you encountered multiculturalism, transculturalism, or interculturalism in your personal life? Well, in Quebec, multiculturalism was everywhere. Like there were Arabic restaurants next to Vietnamese restaurants, also Quebecois restaurants, French restaurants, Mexican restaurants that were not good. And also, I heard a lot of accents. Of course, in Quebec, they speak French, so it was like this African French, the Quebecois French, and French from France. And it was very cool. And also some Latinos French. And also, I really saw a lot of indigenous, like Wendaki, uh, art in public spaces, like in the old Quebec, that's the tourist area. They used to sell a lot of their art. So I also used to share meals with my roommates. One was from Mexico and the other one was from Scotland, and we always debated about politics or with my classmates in my school that were from India, Japan, Colombia, Mexico, Chile. So I consider that all these experiences were not just intercultural, they were transcultural because we did not just coexist together, but instead we blended together. I think Canada in general is like that. I also started trying new dishes like poutine with some carne asada. And also I sometimes mixed English with French, like most of the Montreal people do. And I also sometimes mixed Spanish with French. It was not really that easy, but it took me time, of course. But I I now see culture not as a boundary, but as a bridge. Now I'm going to talk about my culture in Mexico. Well, as I've mentioned before, family is very important for us, or at least for me. In Mexico, it's very stereotyped that there's large families and everybody gets along and there's always party. Well, in my family, it's that case. I am very grateful for that. We have a lot of family. In the pictures I'm showing here, it's not all of the family. It's just part of it, okay? And we always gather every Sunday. Every Saturday we always eat, but little part of the family. And every Sunday we always gather and we just dinner together, everybody talking, everybody listening, and it's so cool. We always have respect for each other, and we always respect the words we have and our opinions, and I think that's awesome. So the picture that's the at the top is actually in September 15th. Is also the birthday of one of my tios. And in this one is the birthday of three of my tias. I'm going to show in the next slide. A lot of family gathered. Obviously, in that photo is just like the tios, the uncles, the aunts, and the daughters, and some of the babies, but that's not all of the family, okay? Like in this picture I was talking about, it was not the birthday of the three of them, but they had close birthdays. so we decided to do it together, and we were all there in the mirror, just Okay, now I'm going to talk about Canada. Okay, so I'm going to make a quick introduction. I arrived to Quebec because I wanted to perfect my French. I have known French for since I was little, but I never went to like a real place to practice it. So the nearest was Quebec. So I went there for summer in 2023 and I really liked it. So I took my gap year in there last year before right now tech. Okay. So first of all, I adore the architecture. It's a very mixed architecture. Not every city has it. It's mixed with the UK, the French, it's a lot of types of architecture, but it's so ancient that it's awesome how it still remains really cool. That really shocked me. And it's also a good place to take a lot of photos at any time of the day. Even at night, it's still a lot of light, so you can still take photos. Something that really shocked me is that there is a lot of Catholic places like iglesias and capitals, and there is a lot of Catholic names in the streets and in general, like the names of the people. But Quebecoises right now in this actuality are not really Catholic. In fact, they don't really enjoy the religion. It's because of a very sad backstory. They suffered a lot because of the Catholic iglesias. They had a lot of power in them. I think last century, it's very recent. And yeah, they fought against that and they won, of course. So, well, now they don't really love it. Okay, and then the first picture is I am in the chutes of Montmorency. It's very touristic place to go. And in this other picture, it's the same chutes, but when it was snowing. Also, something that really shocked me is the amount of snow. I'm going to show you in the next slide. So in this slide, you can clearly see the amount of snow there is. There was a lot of snow and I was not used to snow at all. Actually, I've never seen snow until there and it was awesome. Honestly, I really miss it. Also, it's a very cold place. When it's supposed to be cold, it's cold, cold, cold. In Sinaloa, well, at least in Los Mochis, in the place I used to live 18 years, okay? There, the lowest I've ever been was, I think, 15 Celsius. And there, like the lowest was like minus 35 Celsius. So it was, it was such a shock for me. But despite all of the snowiness, they still managed to keep it clean, which still shocks me, honestly. They had really good routes and really good methods to keep the street clean of snow when it was necessary, and like the everywhere was clean. So as I said, another thing that really shocked me, aside from all the snow part, you can clearly see there that the snow was taller than me. It was like 2 meters or more. Okay, it was crazy. I really enjoyed that the seasons of the year were really changing and they were really marked. Like that was autumn and you can tell because of the leaves. But here in Sinaloa, not really. It's always hot. And in Quebec, it was really changing and really beautiful. So now I want to say some of my personal growth and my perspectives, and also how I understand the world now. After the experience I lived, I noticed I matured more. Of course, I was expected to mature because I am in the years I should mature, but I noticed a lot of personal growth in terms of understanding different points of views because, as I said before, it's very cultural place, a lot of diversity. So there were a lot of different perspectives, like different country people, like like Japanese people, Indian people. There was a lot of people there, and also Quebecois. Just Quebecois is really completely different from what I uh, have been always taught at home. Now I feel like I understand the world a little better, or at least I hope I do. And I'm always willing to be more open-minded and to have more willing to change. Also, I think some of the opportunities I have given with this was that now I am kind of fluent in French uh, because Quebecois are strict about their French, and you have to speak French or else you're not really that much of accepted there. It sounds really harsh, but it's the truth, or at least what I noticed. So I really think that's one of the opportunities that because I was surrounded by people who were French speakers, I had to become one. And I think that's a good opportunity because now I speak French very fluently. I also noticed that being humble and being warm is not regularly expected in the worldwide talking. So, like in Mexico, it is like you normally say good morning to everybody and you smile to them, but you shouldn't really be obligated to do that. And I think that's one of the perspectives that really changed in me. Now, my proposal. Okay, my proposal is that some students in Campus Tech de Monterrey are willingly wanting to learn how to speak a language and be fluent like a native. So we all know that Tech has actually programs to study, but they cost and but they teach you the language, and it's mostly native speakers that teach you the language. But my idea is that if you are willingly wanting to learn other languages, you can have the opportunity without cost or anything, and with the native speakers at campus, the native speakers students at campus. So how would this work? Well, first, I think you should reunite at least once a month in a room with some of your friends that are also willingly to change, or not your friends, but people you want to learn this, like, that want to learn the same language you do, and have something little prepared before going there, so then you can share it with the native speakers that are willingly going to go there, so you can have a conversation and they can teach you things and you can teach them things. And so yeah, how will this benefit the native speakers, the exchange students, I'd say? Well, I think it will benefit them to make new friends here in Mexico and to know more perspectives, and also it would benefit to us in the same way. I think it's a good idea and a really fun idea. I would 100% go. Well, now, in a very general conclusion, culture is very important, and I think it identifies you and you identify with your culture as well as your self-awareness, because in self-awareness you get to know yourself better and also you get to identify the other people better. And as I mentioned before, I think my proposal will have a lot of benefits in Tec de Monterrey because it will help exchange students feel more included, and us Mexican students also feel more included with them.